Hi folks, welcome back to our YouTube channel. If you're still watching, this is video number 5 in preparing for your end of year assessment in year 10. And we're talking about all of the different words that we need to describe genetic material in your cells. So if we think of a cell, a body cell, inside that nucleus of the cell is a complete set of genetic material that is the code for the person who it belongs to. So the genetic material is enclosed in a nucleus. Recall that that means this is a eukaryotic cell, and we describe the structures inside the nucleus that are the genetic material as chromosomes. In your body cells, the chromosomes are in pairs. Humans have 23 pairs or 46 chromosomes, and each of those chromosomes is divided up into many genes. The gene is a code for a particular characteristic. Now, the chromosomes are in pairs, which means the genes are also in pairs, and so you have 2 genes for each characteristic, and they could be of different types, and the word, remember, for different types of the same gene is allele. So for example, we all have a pair of genes that codes for eye color, let's say, but some of us have different alleles, different forms of the eye color gene, which means that the color eyes we get, our phenotype, the color of our eyes, is different. The phenotype will depend on the genotype. The genotype is the code that you get. We'll come back to that later. The DNA molecule that makes up all of this material is described as being a double helix. Think of it as a ladder which has been twisted, and the rungs of the ladder are referred to as base pairs. So each rung is a particular pair of bases. And as you count along the double helix, every 3 base pairs your body interprets as the code for 1 amino acid. Recall from work that you've done on digestion that amino acids are the building blocks of protein. So we can think of our DNA and therefore our genes as a code for a specific protein. And the code is made up from the order of different base pairs along this long polymer that we call DNA. The key words then: nucleus, the control center of a cell where genetic material is, arranged on chromosomes. Sections of chromosomes are a gene, and different forms of the same gene are called alleles. Your alleles can be dominant, in which case they always show themselves, or recessive, in which case you only get the characteristic if you inherit a pair of them. And we use these 2 words to describe those pairs. So if your alleles are different to each other, in other words, if you have 1 dominant copy and 1 recessive copy, then you are heterozygous. If you are homozygous, both of your alleles are of the same type. So that means you could be homozygous dominant and have 2 dominant alleles, or homozygous recessive and have 2 recessive alleles. We refer to all of the genetic information in a human being as their genome, or in any organism. And the Human Genome Project has mapped the human genome, and that gives us lots of information to use about treating disease, about tracing family trees, tracing ancestors, etc. And finally, if your genes are randomly changed, we say they have undergone a mutation. Your genotype is your code of alleles, and your phenotype is what you look like.